All right, listen to this. My summer didn't ease in gently. It detonated on day one, and not in a fun, fireworks kind of way. Imagine me, finally settling into a peaceful afternoon beside the lake I had just purchased. It was gorgeous. Calm water, tall trees swaying in the breeze, sunlight dancing across the surface. The property came with a generous stretch of land, too, including an entire row of houses along one side. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the dream. Just me, a fishing pole, and pure quiet. That peaceful soundtrack of birds and rippling water didn't last long. It was suddenly drowned out by the sharp stomp of someone marching across gravel. I looked up to see a woman power walking toward me, clutching a clipboard like it was a badge of authority. She had the kind of expression that suggested she routinely bossed around wildlife for fun. "Excuse me," she snapped, in a tone sharp enough to sour cream. "This lake is reserved for HOA members only. I'm going to have to ask you to leave immediately." I blinked. Then I glanced at the lake. Then back at her. I kept my voice calm. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," I said. "I'm not part of the HOA." Her eyes narrowed like she'd just proven her point. "Exactly, which means you're trespassing. If you don't leave in 5 minutes, I'll be calling the police for being on private HOA property." I exhaled slowly. Confrontation was the last thing I wanted that day. "Ma'am," I replied carefully, "with all due respect, I really don't think you want to make that call." That only fueled her. She straightened up, puffing with self-importance. "Oh, I absolutely do. We have rules here to keep people like you out." People like me? I was wearing a faded fishing hat and an old t-shirt. Hardly a menace to society. I gave it one last try. "I'm fairly certain this is an HOA property." I explained evenly. She wasn't interested in explanations. She whipped out her phone and started dialing with dramatic flair. "That's it. I'm calling. You can explain yourself to the police." While she loudly reported a hostile trespasser refusing to leave her lake, I calmly sat back down on my cooler and resumed holding my fishing rod. I could hear her exaggerating every detail to the dispatcher. The confidence was almost impressive. A patrol car pulled up a few minutes later. 2 officers stepped out, both wearing expressions that suggested this wasn't their first call involving an overzealous neighbor. One approached me. "Sir, we received a complaint about trespassing. Is this your property?" Before I could answer, she swooped in. "Of course it's not his property, officer. This is a private lake for homeowners in this prestigious community." The officer gave her a polite but weary look, then turned back to me. "Let's hear your side." I unlocked my phone and opened the email containing my closing documents. I handed it over and pointed at the parcel map. "I finalized the purchase last month," I said. "The deed includes the lake and this entire block of houses." His eyebrows lifted slightly as he scrolled. He showed the screen to his partner, who nodded. After a moment, he handed the phone back to me and faced her. "Ma'am," he said calmly, "there appears to be a misunderstanding. According to these documents, this gentleman owns the lake and the land your house sits on." The silence that followed was almost theatrical. Her face cycled through several shades of crimson. "That's impossible," she sputtered. "This is an HOA. We have bylaws." The officer shrugged. "The paperwork shows he's the landowner, which would technically make him your landlord." I gave her a small, friendly wave. Her mouth actually fell open. The officers then explained that she had been harassing the property owner and warned her about misusing emergency services. They suggested she review her property agreements carefully before making any more calls. She retreated without another word, looking like her entire reality had just collapsed. The officers apologized to me, chuckled about the situation, and drove off. And just like that, I was back to fishing in peace. But the story didn't end there. The next morning, I saw her approaching again. Only this time she wasn't armed with a clipboard. She was holding a freshly baked apple pie and wearing the most strange smile I'd ever witnessed. "Hi, neighbor," she chirped. "I am so sorry about yesterday. Total misunderstanding." I looked at her, then at the pie. "I've been considering adding some new rules for my lake," I said thoughtfully. "Maybe a strict no harassing the owner policy. Sound reasonable?" She nodded so fast I thought she might get dizzy. It's incredible how quickly attitudes shift when property lines become clear. I accepted her apology, but I also sent a formal notice to every resident on that block introducing myself as the new owner. I clarified that the HOA they believed governed the neighborhood was actually invalid because it never legally owned the common areas in the first place. The aftermath was explosive. It turned out the original developer had set up the HOA fraudulently years ago, marketing amenities that were never legally secured. She hadn't just been a busybody neighbor. She declared herself president of a completely illegitimate association. She'd been collecting dues and enforcing regulations on land that didn't belong to the HOA at all. The other homeowners were furious, not at me, but at her and the original developer who'd misled them. Her self-appointed reign over the neighborhood ended almost overnight. As for me, I've been enjoying uninterrupted afternoons at my lake ever since. I even installed a new sign by the shore. It reads, "Private property. Trespassers will be offered a lease agreement." It's been a fantastic summer. Moral of the story? You never really know who you're talking to. So maybe it's best to treat people with a little courtesy, or at the very least, confirm you actually own the lake before calling the police on someone fishing in it. Thanks for listening. If you've got any wild neighbor stories of your own, share them in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales like this.